It's a lot of work. So, yeah, but you can just put it on the no, it's actually she's really I don't know what to do. Because my wife is taking too much of me, she works it all. Okay. Perfect, that worked. Thank you, sir. Working. Nice to see some snow. It's going to be busy again next week, maybe the week after. I didn't get a lot of guarantee on the show, so everything's for you. It's actually going to snow, so about a month and a half. It's been yeah, so you know, I tried to get there. Mike called me and said, hey, listen, I want to use a new salt to calcium on the waterways. It's responsible by the unit holders. Illinois is doing some requests. Shit, that doesn't make me look very good for this law. Nobody else is doing this. If I have this contract, there's still going to be maintenance and costs, but that's not how this is paid. So I told him that I wasn't doing that. I'm still as a consultant. So
I'll do it when we get
Your name is on there. My name's on there.
oh, yeah. You guys want to know something? Let me get it. Okay. Yeah, we're just told we're allowed to, just so you know, we're allowed to vote once personal limits. And then it's requested, you have to call and say, like, you want to cut up. Really? I can do it once. That's it. At the end of the storm. And I did it during the storm because it was so the hatch was all.
So, well, today,
Pretty excellent. He seems, I don't know what he does there. I don't think he does. No, but so they want to use this like directors of the show.
Well, we wouldn't do it.
I know the unit owners I work over in another place. So I
and so, even though it's not on this one, the floor would only think about is something because it would hit the frozen ground, so we get some, yeah, then.
No, I'm talking at our business location. So that's
They don't care.
then the lights on the
My cousin was going to be
right, saying, I know my job is to sign my name to my rent check, the rest is yours.
I mean,
Oh, that's how I am.
grab a couple of the children.
Hey, John.
This is a crap or something. There's no lights. Right there. Yeah, it's nice. Right, so you can tell there's a few nice things in the rest of the world.
Stories power to my house.
So they did only like
I don't want to go further than have something like, hey, I just have to show me nursery this week. That's just too much. It's not, it's not, it's one of the things that's like,
I just sit down the street right now. Get into that. I'm not careful.
You have to bring your own chair.
Hey, how are you? How you been, man? Good to see you. It's exciting.
Hi, good.
How's life out there on 87? Haven't
Love it.
The power goes out frequently.
well, you know, it's part of the course, right?
Territory.
And the wildlife is great.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Although I gotta say, where I am now, at Betty J's, I mean, I see all kinds of stuff. I mean, I even had a bobcat in the yard the other day. Like,
We think we've seen tracks.
yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I got him on camera. Like, he's,
And
Do we have our own chairs?
apparently, I just kind of.
what's going on at the corner?
That's me.
Yeah.
I'm building a new shop for my equipment business. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've been trying to figure it out. It's going to be like residents, you know?
No, yeah. No. No, it's just gonna be like, it's gonna look like a big farmhouse and a barn. For my equipment business, yeah. I'm excited.
Can I have order, please? Thank you. It is 7 o'clock. I'll call to order the select board meeting for Tuesday, January 24th. First item on our agenda was the insurance. They're not coming in. I think you guys probably saw the email with respect to that. Let's do a few of the regular business and then we'll get to the only main item here, which is the drawings. So we have a contract from Cartographic Associates, CAI contract. This is for data processing, and GIS services for our town maps and lots. Take a look at that. The rate is $2,100, which is the same as last year. Sue is recommending we go forward with this, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It's the same rate as last.
Yep. Any questions about the scope services or the contract? That's
I
it.
do. If it's okay, we'll hold it.
Hold on a minute. Any questions? Sure, Derek?
We just ran into a problem with Exeter with their mapping committee. Gave away a bunch of our land to town of Exeter, not to us. We just came through our surveying process, and I don't know what Don was notified you guys yet. Our property lines are all out of whack, our town lines are. We haven't done a walk in like 10 years, so my recommendation as a person that owns a big section of our property line between Exeter and there is that maybe we should get drag the feet on having them start to know where the property lines are for the town of Exeter. If we're going to be paying for mapping.
Well, sure. Good to know. I mean, I'm
I
more
just want you
than,
to know we're almost done our survey, as you know, and then that will.
well, I know that you guys have had a lot of problems
Yeah.
with your borders down on the larger property. Yeah, with that, sure. I'll have a conversation with CAI about that. I don't know when the last time the town walked our borders, which is required every 10 years. I'll make a motion to table the contract. Second by Hobie. All in favor? Aye. Great. Thank you. Next up, correspondence from Derek Durbin regarding 17 Piscasset Road. Any questions about that? Anything anybody wants to raise with respect to the process there? This was, should be done earlier today in terms of looking at the options for the town.
I got this late.
Okay.
So I haven't,
Not a problem. You want to? We can defer further discussion about this until either our next meeting, if you want. We don't have to take any action at this point in time. We'll give Derek instruction until he's had a chance to look at it and figure out what we want to recommend Derek move forward with. I don't mind doing that if you don't have a problem with that.
is that going to impact whether or not there's a warrant article for the town based on this?
At this point in time, we can't even do any additional warrant articles. It's, under the law, those had to be in a while ago. But take a look. We don't have to make any decisions about that until you've had a chance to review. We'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting. Next item, town report dedication. Sue's request is to dedicate the town report to Mike Todd. Mike was a longtime resident here in town, did a lot of work with the planning board, was very involved in the town, and passed away this year at a very young age, 67. Are there any other recommendations from the board with respect to dedicating the town report? No? Hearing none, I will make a motion to dedicate the 2023 town report to Mike Todd.
Second.
Second by Jackie. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All right. Just a quick note here from Donna. The waste management. The charge went up to $74.35, that adjustment from the prior year of $72.85. The $72.85 is the adjusted rate that went up for the special, the adjustment they requested last November. The increase to $74.35 is the regular annual adjustment that they make per their contracted schedule with the towns through 2026, thank you.
That's for the tipping fee, right?
Yeah, these are the tipping fees. So we just need to approve the rate change. I'll make a motion to approve waste management's rate change for the tipping fee to $74.35 per ton.
Second.
Second by Jackie, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, great, thank you. Do the minutes later, we'll do the, that's a contract, great. We'll do the minutes, the revenue, and the checks and APs are done, meeting minutes, 2 meeting minutes, and the revenues we'll do after. Okay, so with that, we'll move to Vernon Family Farm. So, thank you guys for coming. Amy, we received your stuff today as well. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to review that. The one issue that I think that we need to address immediately is the issue raised about the building permit. Building permit was submitted in early January with the request that we have Jack Steiner as the alternate do the inspection. Sue reached out to Jack. I assume Jack contacted you?
My understanding is that Jack also serves on the ZBA.
Yes.
And prefers, instead of recusing from the ZBA and serving as the alternate building inspector, to recuse from being the alternate building inspector and serve on the ZBA.
Yep.
So my hope is that tonight the select board would identify
Yep.
an alternate.
And Jack identified one, I think, for us in lieu of that. His suggestion was an inspector from Exeter who has some familiarity with some of the issues. He made that recommendation. I certainly think that that's the quickest and easiest way to do this in order to expedite that. So I'll make a motion that for the building permit request from the Vernons, that we utilize the building inspector from Exeter as recommended by Jack Steiner.
Second.
Second by Hogan. Any concerns? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye? Great. Okay, so that's that. The other issue with respect to the Vernon Family Farm is with respect to the issues raised by the planning board. We appreciate you coming in here to have a discussion about this. In the last planning board meeting, the concerns were raised that under the notice of decision, there were requirements under the notice to be done before additional events were taking place. I think they communicated that to you. it's my understanding that, obviously, we're dealing with the building inspection issue. Per the matrix that you sent Amy, has the health inspector scheduled, or?
If I
I know that Bobby was.
Update.
Okay, great.
Distribute that.
Perfect.
I looked at the poll, so excuse my ask. If you can't hear me, let me know. And,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Sorry, I can't. So, the health inspection is scheduled, completed. We saw a preliminary report today, which identified no follow-ups, no issues, and we anticipate the final report any minute. It'll be sitting in the inbox today.
Okay.
And I'd be happy to run through a status update of all of these.
Well, the building inspection, we've already discussed here. The health inspection, okay. The fire inspection, the fire chief forwarded actually.
Yeah, we got the report, came
His
out
report,
today.
yeah.
Or actually, we got it today, came out yesterday.
Yep, so he forwarded that with the issues that he raised.
Four. Some of them have a couple of things to them.
Yep.
The Vernons have already completed some of those things. For example, the fire extinguisher certification is done. The fire extinguisher training has been, the schedule has been requested. The hood installation is underway. So that is all moving forward.
Okay. My expectation is that, assuming the final inspection needs is outlined on page 6, or address, we'll hear back from the chief affirming that
Yes,
everything has been done.
yes.
Okay? The other items were,
May I just add
Oh.
also, the fire chief addressed the requirement for updating the assembly permits.
Right.
Yep, okay.
yep, again, I think that he mentioned there, he mentioned somewhere in there.
Yeah, it's
I have to
in
go
there.
back to it. So, yep, so that's the assembly permit. The other two are the ZBA relief, which,
We'll be filing for that next week.
Okay.
For the end of the month, end of February meeting.
the 22nd meeting,
Yep.
the meeting on the 22nd, great.
And then the DOT
Right,
permit
yep.
application was filed
Which one?
2
I'm sorry.
weeks ago.
Which one?
Great,
The amended New Hampshire Department of Transportation.
great. Okay, so, again, I think the issue that we wanted to address was, one, see the progress on the requirements under the notice of decision, and the questions that were raised by the planning board of their concern of events occurring there now before these health and safety issues are addressed. I know that this is not something that the Vernons preferred, but at the same time, given that I think the goal of the planning board was to ensure the health and safety, and that was the primary reason for putting these conditions in, maybe you can talk about if events have taken place, are they going to take place without these conditions being completed, and you can inform the select board as to what the status is.
Sure. Events are taking place. They have been continuing to take place since before we filed the site plan, the amended site plan application, during the site plan amendment application process, and from after the site plan amendment approval through to now. It's not a secret. It hasn't been, hidden or anything like that. That events have been taking place the whole time. And the reason that is because it was never apparent at all that the average course of events would need to stop until all of these conditions were satisfied. Our understanding, the farm's understanding, was always that we were working collaboratively together to identify what the permitting needs would be while the events were going forward. And our position is that makes sense for a number of reasons. First of all, going back to 2015, That's how it was done before. There was a farm stand in operation. There was a decision that that farm stand needed a site plan approval. That site plan approval was conditional. It had a number of things that needed to be satisfied. Those things, the farm went and worked towards satisfying those conditions of approval. Took some number of months to satisfy them. The whole time, with everybody's knowledge, the farm stand always operated. So that's how it was the first time around. That's how we figured it would be the second time around. And that's how it's customary. When you have an existing business, whether it's agricultural or otherwise, and they come in for an amendment, there's something about that operation that's changing, and that amendment is approved, the business doesn't stop while that approval, the conditions are satisfied. The other thing is, there was never any discussion at any of the select board or planning board meetings, and there's nothing in writing that would have apprised the farm, hey, you're going to need to stop these events, these primary ways that you market your products, while you satisfy these conditions. And some of them, like the ZBA one and the DOT one, might take several months until you can resume those events. And had that been the case, the farm might not have, said to you, oh, we agree with these conditions. We might have had some more debate about that. So another important thing to note is the farm always said the biggest events and the most number of events occur in the summer. That is the height of the season, March through October. But the farm, end of May through October, thank you. But the farm never said there are no events in the winter. And that's an important point to make. So they are going forward with the plan as presented, as approved, which follows the record of this case and is consistent with New Hampshire law. There is an RSA on record that supports this permit being final, even though there are conditions in place. And then we bolster that with the tremendous progress that's been made towards these conditions, and the conditions being wrapped up in a matter of weeks, with maybe the exception of the DOT permit. It's the sensible approach. So that would be my response.
I have a couple representatives here of the planning board. Do you want to make any comment about how the notice of decision has been characterized?
Yeah, I think back in 2015, when we approved the site plan, you have to go back to the history that the planning board had with the Verdants. And the first episode the planning board had with the Verdants was the fire department came to the planning board and said, somebody is living in the little house, which is now the right to the entrance. They have a wood stove in there, and we don't think it's right. It's is this acceptable? There's a life safety issue here. The planning board said, no, you have to have 625 square feet. So that ended. But what precipitated after that was the planner, Clay Mitchell, went out to meet with the Vernons and said, you can't do this. So then what happened was there was a discussion with the Vernons about that they wanted to open up a farmstead. And Clay and Larry said, you need to get site plan reviews for this. The planning board then got a letter from BCN saying, we do not need a site plan review because it's an existing farm use. You can go read that letter. Then, as a result of that, the planning board, I think it was a notice of decision from Larry select chair at the time saying, no, you do need to do a plan. You do need to come in for site plan review and follow the regulations of the town. So the legal argument went out the window. Vernon's came in, we did a site plan review, took us 2 meetings, very simple process. We approved it. And when you say they just started the store and nobody talked to them to stop them, it's because they had to create an entrance. And part of the entrance, there was a review done by Clay. There's some notes to it. So he went out there and he did say, yep, the entrance is okay. They met, DOT's okay with the new entrance. And we're going to move forward with this. And it was okay. So to say nobody checked the conditions, you were just moving along, it's a very simple process. We approved it. Probably a couple of years later, Jeremiah came into the planning board and said, I want to extend the hours from 6 to 8. Very simple, we did that. So now, and then the other item that was in this play was that there was a DOT driveway permit approved for so after that, all this time, they did have a DOT permit for this access. Planning board cannot overrule what the state DOT wants on anything. You know, people argue about how the traffic is and the mining out on the Irving station. Planning board can't touch that. So we know that. I think the next thing that came up was the whole issue of so they had the DOT permit in place. And that DOT permit was based on the fact that the Vernons came to the town with an application for a site plan review. And in that application for site plan review, and this is the last document the planning board has ever seen on this, it says, we're going to have 5 cars in their day, and it's a farm stand. So that's what the DOT permit was based on back in 2015. And I think we all know it's vastly different than that now. So, in fact, they're in violation of the DOT permit as it stands.
Can I pause you for a minute
Yep.
here? I think at this point, we need to stop this conversation because I think we need to get Derek Durbin in here and make sure that what is happening with the planning board is legal and is not putting the town at risk for any liability. And I think by saying these things in a public meeting, I think we need to meet with our lawyer first, with the planning board and the select board, to figure out if what happened last week, 2 weeks ago, at the planning board meeting was actually legal before we have the rest of these conversations.
I guess I have to disagree with Jack because
That's
irrelevant of if we met legally, whatever.
It is relevant. It is extremely relevant.
The town should not be taking the risk of allowing an unauthorized DOT access. I was glad when I went up there for the site plan review that there were 22 cars for the site plan review and 3 of us stacked up to go in there. It's a dangerous intersection. I'm sorry.
That is a mischaracterization.
Excuse me. All comments come through the chair, please.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
I'm just trying to get a history of where we are.
It's not relevant to what is
Excuse me.
happening right now.
Order, please. Please continue.
So, where we are today, this whole episode, I think everybody has to realize that the building got built without a building permit. The state RSA says every building has to be built with a building permit. The town has an ordinance that says every building has, and this is all pure life safety issues.
Mr. Meserve, I don't
Excuse
believe
me.
what happened
Excuse me.
in the
Even
planning
your,
board.
all members, no. All members, whether part of this board or the general public, speak when recognized by the chair, Jack. You don't get to interrupt.
As long as you're a white man.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
I don't believe what happened on.
Jackie, Mr. Reserve is speaking. When he's done, I will recognize you.
So I just think we're at a point where the planning board, as a planning board member, we have these rules and regulations, and that's what we're following.
And that's what Mr. Durbin needs to figure out.
Excuse me.
And right,
Please don't
we
interrupt.
made a decision. I would not have voted in the affirmative if these conditions were not going to be met. And a lot of my concern is public health and safety. And I think the liability that the town is taking on. I mean, there are DOT regulations saying that a town, we can't just let this stuff happen. I mean, that's my concern, is that it's not, and then I guess as far as the road opening, the permit goes, it was mentioned way back in, I think, August, that they knew they needed to update it. Why haven't they updated it? Started that process. I just heard that they're not going to start it for another couple of weeks. And I think they're going to find when they go to do this, it's going to take some effort.
That sounds like a threat.
No, I'm just saying it's going to take some engineering studies, traffic studies have to be done. And in the meantime, I don't know, but I feel the town's taking us some liability. And the planning board can't override DOT. We've learned that on at least 3 Route 108, where people have complained, and we said DOT prevails.
Thank you. Jackie, would you like to speak?
Thank you. I think the planning board is bringing liability on the town right now, based on how the situation was handled on the 12th. I think you are acting outside your purview. I think messages that have come from the planning board and on behalf of the select board to the liquor commission were out of purview. And I think this needs to stop until we get legal advice before the planning board and members of the select board are putting us in a position to face a lawsuit. That is my recommendation.
I understand your position. I think right now, tonight, we're having a discussion. I think that nothing that we're doing tonight is raising any issue of liability at this point in time, but your concerns
Please
are
put
noted.
everything that you did on public record then.
Amy?
Thank you. One of the biggest concerns that the farm has is the continuous and extreme mischaracterization of the facts. So one of the important facts is that the farm has a valid driveway permit. The driveway permit needs to be amended. That does not invalidate the existing driveway permit. Okay? So I want to be very clear about that. Also, the reason the driveway permit needs to be amended is because of the addition of the pavilion. It's a change in use, arguably. We don't think it is, but we are trying to be cooperative with positions the town has taken. And so because of positions the town has taken, the farm needs to get an amended permit because of a change of use. We have no expectation that the location of the driveway will need to change. And we talked about that at the site walk during the site plan application. So I was very surprised when I reviewed the January 12th planning board minutes and I saw lots and lots of discussion about the planning board's view that the driveway location would be changed, that there is no driveway permit in place, and I hear tonight comments that there's no driveway permit in place, and that the driveway is going to have to be relocated in conservation easement land, and the stone wall is going to have to be taken down. None of that is accurate. And that is just one example of the farm being harmed by having to come here and have this conversation when it is doing nothing wrong but proceeding on a permit that it obtained again and again and again. And I wrote down some of the things we just heard tonight. The last document the planning board has ever seen on this. That's what was said about a 5-car site plan. Well, that's not true. Because just a couple months ago, we went through an entire site plan application process where the current status quo of the farming operations, including the current status quo of the agritourism events, was described in great detail. So it is just not true that the last thing the planning board has ever seen was the 2015 site plan application showing a parking lot designed for 5 cars. And I could go on and on and on about the inaccuracies and the misconceptions in the planning board January 12th minutes. But the point is, they are not a fair or accurate representation of what is happening at the farm, the permitting statuses at the farm, etc. We have serious concerns about the town's compliance with RSA 91A in terms of public notices, meeting requirements, communications, police drive-bys at the farms, how things are being managed with respect to regulation of the farm. And what we are hoping can come out of this conversation is a sensible outcome to allow this vibrant business to move forward and market its goods while also complying with reasonable regulation. Because we agree that it is reasonable to make sure, of course, that the building is safe for the public. Never having had a single safety incident and working diligently to follow up on all the conditions of approval, it makes sense to have these two things happening at once, the events and the satisfying of the conditions. And we would like nothing more than to go forward in that fashion. If we want to put a deadline for compliance on the ZBA, on all the local permitting, that makes sense to us. We can do that. But, you know, to move forward in any other fashion, it just doesn't make sense in the context of a farming operation. Thank you.
Let me comment here, because as I think you noted, Amy, earlier, that if the condition were a requirement for continuing events, that you wouldn't have agreed. And Bill, your indication is that if the conditions weren't required to begin events, you don't think the planning board would have supported the notice of decision either. Is that correct?
He said he would.
Okay, can I just read?
No, if you can't. You're saying that you wouldn't have.
I wouldn't have supported it.
I know Mike is here.
Mike Price, I'm on the planning board. No, I wouldn't have supported it if I thought that this would be an ongoing.
And again, I'll give my sense. I don't think, my opinion, I don't think the board would have approved it. One of the aspects of the discussion there was specific to the events that were going on and the events that were going to be allowed under the notice. And the specific questions were made as to the events for the upcoming year. Are they going to be the same as the prior year, May through October? And it was said, yes, the plan right now is for May through October. It's in the minutes. It's there. That was specific. Excuse me. I specifically asked the question. It's in the minutes as to Jeremiah's response to it. And my point is that because of that, I think, again, my opinion, the planning board was assuming that these conditions were going to be able to be met by May before events would be restarting at the farm. And therefore, it was a reasonable assumption that no events would occur. And in fact, at December 8th, there was no information provided that a Hood fan was going in, that events were going to be starting in January through May, or other information that I think would have been very pertinent for the planning board to address this. And I think this is why the planning board at the last meeting raised the concerns that the conditions in sections 1 and 2 of the notice of decision hadn't been met, yet events had restarted at the farm. They were health and safety conditions put in place for the reason of the liability of the town and the fact that none of this had been done before that building was being used by the general public. And so I think this is the reason the planning board did what it did. I think this is the concern that the planning board has, and I think it's a valid concern to discuss here tonight. Mr. Price.
I seem to recall at the last public meeting that it was stated that they had not had successful winter events in the past and did not plan on having them this year, as far as I knew. And then 2 weeks later, they announced Jack Frost Winter Series. And so that, to me, like you said, I assumed this stuff would be taken care of before there were further events at the farm. And all of a sudden, unbeknownst to the board at least, that these events now are being announced and the conditions haven't been met.
Brian Johnson, I'm a business owner as well, not Newfields. If I had a situation similar where there was a contract in place, an agreement in place, and there wasn't a specific declaration within that that stated you cannot have any events, then I would feel completely free to operate my business, a privately owned business, how I saw fit. If I needed to have extra events when I wanted them, and there was no specific detailed line saying I couldn't, there should be no reason why there should be assumptions overruling a business's operations.
Derek Rugg, own Rockers Gardens and also have a tourism business up the street. Maybe the board, the planning board, you guys have corporate jobs and you have schedules of meetings and schedules of expenditures. You don't work in the agritourism industries at all, right? So there's a misunderstanding. We have to react quickly to conditions that are happening. So not speaking for the Burns, but I've had many great plans in place and had to alter them within a week time because of the capital, weather, a bunch of other unknown conditions. It would be impossible for me as a business owner to come to the town every time I had to make a change to my business. It seems unreasonable to ask anybody in a private setting to come to the town and explain my kind of business on a regular basis. If I'm going to be making a decision, do I have to, oh, hold on, I got to get on the planning board minutes, I got to go talk to a lot of the planning board, and then let a group of 5 people that don't like me, I mean, it's fairly obvious. I think our town has gotten to a point where it's very close to being sued. I mean, if it was me being persecuted like they're being persecuted, I would be suing all of you. Everybody, board members, the town, and there's other representations of that. The town keeps on saying there's a liability issue. I can't find anywhere where a private event being held on private property has anything to do with my town. Right? Now, all the codes on the buildings, all that's fine. Where are you guys getting off saying you have liability? I hold the liability. It's my property, it's my event. It's not you guys. It's not our town. Our town has the right to hold it, that the buildings get done and all that. I understand that. But to keep everybody, I think there needs to be a lot of definition clarification. First off, agritourism, I read the rules. Right? Me and you aren't going to agree on the rules. We're going to interpret it different. We are. The planning board, for sure, is interpreting agritourism different than I am. Right? I've been fairly quiet and not assuming business, but I have big plans. And suddenly when I'm taking over my business, you guys will be shocked at how many people show up in nurseries. Right? Am I going to be, with my success coming, am I going to be in front of this board with you guys saying how I should be running my business also? And just one point though, as another private owner, it's a little scary to me.
Okay.
Thank you. First of all, as a point of clarification, as part of the record in the site plan amendment application, prior to the December 8th meeting, I submitted the proposed scope of work for the hood, as well as the cover letter from the contractor that would be doing that, as well as an update about when the work would be scheduled. So again, it is not accurate to say.
That was, I'm sorry, that was submitted to the planning board?
Yes.
I don't ever recall seeing any of that documentation, but look, for now, I'll take your word for it. I don't think that's
But
correct.
that's a great illustration. It is not the farm's fault that the planning board as an institution or members of the planning board don't remember certain things. It happened, it's part of the record, so it legally is binding and part of the application process, and that has significance that cannot be ignored. And stuff just keeps getting pushed aside like it hasn't happened.
Do you have the documentation indicating that that was provided prior to that meeting?
I could call it up on my computer if it is that important.
No,
I can
we'll
bring my
we'll address it afterwards.
Okay. The other important thing to note here is, now I lost my train of thought. We have comments about the other agritourism, liability. No, it'll come to me. I'm sure this isn't the end of the conversation tonight. Thank you.
Okay.
I have two questions.
Your name?
Kevin Davis.
Are you from here in Newfield?
Yep.
Okay, great.
I have two questions and a comment. The first question is, at the planning board meetings, are the videos that get taken here kept as part of the record?
These videos are available online.
So there's a recording of the December meeting?
No, I don't believe there is, because these are for the select board and for our budget hearings and deliberative sessions. Our contract is currently for 2 or 3 meetings a month.
So when the camera was here at the last meeting?
At the December 8th meeting?
Yeah, you don't.
That's online.
Okay, so there is a recording.
Of the December 8th meeting? Yeah.
So when the planning board member said, these are the things that were said, we can obviously all go back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful. Okay, so secondly, I was at that meeting, and it was absolutely clear that the Vernon Family Farm does more than the summertime events. In fact, there was a planning board member who said, what we can have is 360 days of events and blah, blah, blah. And then it was basically agreed to that there is the summer schedule, and there are others, and these other events, for example, school buses dropping kids off, those count as an event. So to say that the planning board said absolutely the farm is closed and no people can come in is a ludicrous statement to make, because we were all here and heard the discussion, and it boiled down to, so there won't be outdoor music at those events? No, there will not. Okay, and we're not talking about 365 days? No. And Jeremiah went through, at the most, it will be blah and blah, and everybody said, that's great. So I'm very encouraged that there's a recording of it, so that the planning board members can review that and see that even if something wasn't in the official minutes, it was absolutely said and many people heard it. My next question is, were there any representatives of the town that contacted other government agencies to prevent the Vernon Family Farm from continuing to have operation in the month of January?
In what sense?
It's a very simple question, sir.
I don't think anybody contacted with respect of preventing any events from taking place, because the
So
state doesn't have
if you were serving liquor at that event, would you need a liquor license?
Of course. And
Did anyone comment?
Excuse me.
No, sir, excuse me. I'm
No.
asking the question.
Order.
I'm asking the question.
Excuse me. I am answering the question, which is, at the planning board, the issue was raised that the liquor permits that were issued to the Vernon Family Farm identified that the town had approved the events that they were asking to allow liquor to be served at, that the permit for assembly had been issued by the town, and I don't remember, there was a third item there.
None of that answers my question.
Excuse me, no, it does, excuse me,
It
sir.
does not.
Sir, it does. The issue was raised as to whether the town had discussions with the liquor commission and approved the events, which they had not.
Okay.
And so,
Which does not answer my question.
oh, excuse me, I'm getting to your point. Please don't interrupt.
You're supposed to
Excuse me?
I thought we weren't supposed to interrupt.
We're not. I'm answering the question that he addressed.
This is a mischaracterization because I remember this conversation that we had as a select board, making a recommendation to the liquor commission to give the Vernons their liquor license.
No. This is about the 2 new liquor licenses they applied to just on December 23rd. This board has never talked about these liquor licenses. And they identify a permanent assembly, a letter from the municipality stating there are no objections to the event.
We did
No.
not apply for new licenses in December of 2022.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at them right here. December 23rd, 2022, you signed them.
Understanding what the form is, would you like me to clarify?
These are,
But it's my question,
excuse me, these are 2 applications to the Liquor Commission, signed by you, for off-site caterer approved permanent site and off-site caterer site approval for 301 Piscassic Road, two new ones. Am I incorrect that these applications went to the Liquor Commission under your name for the Vernon Farm?
You are incorrect that those are applications for caterers' licenses.
No, I'm saying
Those
they're liquor
are- may I
licenses.
finish? Those are ancillary paperwork associated in supporting a caterer's license. They're ancillary paperwork to a liquor license.
This says off-site caterer site approval and application to the Liquor Commission. Now, it doesn't say anything about
See the field
ancillary.
there for the liquor license number.
And it says off-site caterer approved permanent site. 2 liquor license numbers. Again, one's a permanent, one's a temporary. My point here being that it was identified that the permit of assembly was issued, that the letter from the municipality stating there were no objections, and the site inspection had been completed. The planning board raised these concerns, and I called the Liquor Commission to ask them if they had received this documentation from the town and their approval.
So the answer to my question, sir, is yes. Someone representing the town contacted another governmental agency in the state of New Hampshire with the purpose of please shake your head no if you didn't hear my question.
I haven't shaken my head.
You were shaking your head no, and we can take the video playback to show it. But if you'd like to not do that, my question did someone representing the town contact another government agency in the state with the purpose of disrupting the Vernon Family Farms operations? And if you say no, then I'll just rewind to you contacted the Liquor Commission, and all you did in that was to ask the question?
If they had received the documentation, because as a member of this board, excuse me, sir.
Why do you get to interrupt me and I don't get to interrupt you?
No.
That's what we're all here. You're not alone in the room. There's other people watching you do it.
Sir,
you don't get to interrupt me while I'm in my question.
Sir, I am asking you to allow me to answer your question.
Can I ask my question in full before you cut me off to answer what you think my question is?
Feel free.
Thank you very much. Did you, when you contacted the Liquor Commission, which now we understand that you did, you only inquired if you didn't say, and therefore I would like, or the Liquor Commission should. You are saying here on the record,
correct.
The only purpose was, hey, did you get some forms?
My question to the Liquor Commission was, I'm unaware of the revised permit of assembly, the letter from the municipality, or the site inspections being completed, given the notice of conditions which they already had from the Vernon's attorney, who had sent them to them. And I didn't ask for anything but the question of, did you receive this information? Because I'm unaware that the town provided any letter. I'm sorry, I believe I said, I'm unaware the town has been informed that any events are taking place.
And therefore?
Then that's the conversation that I had with them. I did not instruct them to do anything. I did not make a request for them to do anything. I wanted to make sure that I wanted to make sure that the information here that indicates that the town provided them information to approve these, that they indeed had received it, because I was unaware the town had sent any of
Why
it.
was Jasper Vernon's that?
Congratulations, I think you just.
Check and me. Very good.
There.
Since I have a question, it feels to me that this is personal, right? And so is there a place where we can go in front of an official other than our town? Is there a state board that looks after its residents when it feels like it's being picked on by the town? Because it seems like we're gonna argue and we're gonna end up being sued. And if Vernon's probably gonna spend a bunch of money to sue the town of Newfields, I'm a town taxpayer, I don't wanna be sued because somebody has something, an agenda or a dislike. This is what it's starting to come across as. Just so you know, this is, I don't personally feel that the town looks like something like this, but if I was in the Vernon's shoe, I'm gonna say this again. I think we're skating on very dangerous ice. I think we need really badly for this situation to get an outside mediator in place. I mean, it just seems, I think Jackie hit it right on the head. I think we're skating very closely to opinions, first of all.
Yeah. When it becomes written
Amy?
orders, thank you. May I approach with my laptop so I can show you that letter?
Sure.
So this is in the record of the planning board. You get to the, sorry, I can't drive sideways. You get to the top so I can show you the header on the letter. So this is BCM's December 2nd, 2022 letter, subject site plan application, second supplement. Dear Chair, Co-Chair, I'm sorry, I've never known how to pronounce it correctly. Co-Chair, thank you, and members of the planning board. And then it goes on, it's a 17-page letter including all of the attachments. And you will see item number 8 on page 5 says building interior. Please see attached scope of work from RTD commercial kitchen and fan repair. RTD is installing a commercial hood and the associated supports, et cetera, et cetera.
Great, okay, thank you.
I'd like to make a motion at this time to table this discussion until we get some legal advice before anybody makes any.
I don't expect any action for tonight. Again, I think this was more of understanding, one, dealing with the inspection, and two, having a discussion about the concerns raised by the planning board before this board, because at the end of the day, this board is the enforcement arm of the town, not the planning board. That's what we're doing tonight. I don't expect any motion for any specific action.
Well, we need to engage our attorney, so I am making a motion to engage our attorney to review what is happening at the planning board, to review the January 12th meeting, which should have been recorded, and make sure that we have solid legal advice so that the town is protected before we have any more public discussions that could open the town to more liability. So I have a motion on the table, if I may. Is there a second to that motion?
You're not the chair, so that's not how it works. Please don't. That is inappropriate, and that's rude to the chair, to be perfectly honest. Your motion's on the table. Amy, you were going to say something. I'd love to hear it.
With the point to liability, I had written to Attorney Durbin that the farm is, you know, we have not filed a lawsuit, right? You would know if we had, but we are, you know, the farm is feeling cornered at this point, and needs to consider all of its options and reserves all of its rights. And at this point, its liquor license has been pulled as a result of inquiries to the Liquor Commission from the town. And so I wanted to clarify what I filed on behalf of Vernon Family Farm. I gave the Liquor Commission a full copy of the notice of decision. I did not represent that any of the conditions were satisfied. The Liquor Commission knew we were working towards satisfying them. I gave them the permit of assembly, which is not invalid. And the fire chief recently substantiated that. And the liquor commission knew all of that as well. So I filed a perfectly acceptable set of paperwork. It was all attached together. It was not just the forms that you have held out there. It was the permit of assembly, the notice of decision, along with the state liquor commission forms, so they could see all of it together. What the farm needs right now is to be able to get their liquor license reinstated so that they can have events, so they can stop the loss of business opportunity that they are suffering right now. And if I am fully in support of you getting legal advice, and I encourage you to explore this issue when you get legal advice. And that's what I wanted to interject on your motion.
Can I ask you a question about the form?
Yeah.
Is that like a cover sheet to all of the paperwork that
Yes.
you sent?
Yes.
So that the liquor commission would know that this is ancillary paperwork and
Exactly.
it's not a new permit
Yes.
application?
Yes.
So as a result of the chairman contacting the liquor commission, you are now saying that they have pulled that?
Yes.
Because it sounds as though there was a misrepresentation of the town's position
I
to the liquor
can
commission.
provide a letter from Lieutenant Culver at the Liquor Commission that says, as a result of the planning board's January 12th letter, we have to rescind your liquor license.
Could I have a copy of that, please?
Sure, I'd be happy to mail it into the select board. So we need to undo that.
Well, there's a motion on the table to close this discussion and seek legal advice for the board. Is there a second?
I'm not going to second it at this point. I may consider it later, but I'm not going to do it this time.
I have no problem seconding the motion. I have no problem with us going and having a further discussion with Derek Durbin before we move further on any of this. So with that, I'll take a vote. All in favor of the motion? Aye?
Aye.
Great. Thank you. All right.
Thank you all.
With that, we'll finish our work here. We have prior meeting minutes, 2 meeting minutes, one for the...
Is there any comments there? Select board has emails that
Thank
we can receive.
We'll do the January 4th minutes. This is for the select board meeting. As a request, if you're going to have an outside conversation, please take them outside. We're going to try to finish the meeting.
Okay, dictator.
Any edits, changes for the January 4th meetings for the select? You good? Great. I'll make a motion to accept as written the meeting minutes for Tuesday, January 4th, select board meeting. Second by Hobie, all in favor? Aye? Great. We have meeting minutes for the January 10th budget hearing. One thing I will note is that on the attached warrant, you'll notice that warrant Article 1 is now warrant Article 2. The warrant article for the stormwater infrastructure on Summer and Pleasant has moved up to the first warrant article. This is done because under state RSAs, any borrowing over $100,000 gets moved to Article 1. technically, the money that we're getting is basically going to be forgiven and acts more like a grant as long as we spend it appropriately. But since it is technically a loan from the Clean Water State Revolving Fund, this had to be moved up. In addition, a 3/5 majority vote on that warrant article, as well as the Article 8, because they are technically loans, requires a 3/5 vote. So those are the major changes that were made. I just want to make sure that you're aware of them as you look at the minutes for Tuesday, January 10th. Any edits or changes? No? I'll make a motion to accept the meeting minutes for the budget hearing on Tuesday, January 10th. Second, Hobie, all in favor? Aye. Great. We have revenues and expenses, if you want to look through that, as well as, if you get a chance, pull up your calendars. Item, let me, actually it's related to what we just talked about. So, we are required to have a public hearing on warrant article 1 for the loan for the stormwater repairs on Summer and Pleasant. Obviously, we want to have it as soon as possible. I was going to suggest a week from tonight, on the 31st, that we have a public hearing. I don't expect it to be very long. But are you guys okay with a 7 o'clock public hearing?
Yes.
Great.
What is that, 2 weeks?
A week from tonight. So it'll be January 31st at 7 o'clock right here. Public hearing specifically to address the stormwater assets on Summer and Pleasant. That's the only thing that'll be at that hearing. Okay? Thank you for that. Revenue and expenditures, if you want to take a quick look at those.
Bill, will you be able to be there for that?
Yeah, I'll make it.
Okay, great, thank you.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Got it. One thing I just wanted to point out, at the top of page 10, just so that everyone's clear on this, we have a listed actual expenditures for all of 2022 of $1,921,826, where the budget was $1,914,659. But in the actuals is actually included the ARPA money that we had spent, which was non-budget off the budget for that year, so that's why that's totaling higher. Just want to make sure everyone's clear about that. All right. Any other questions or comments about the revenue and expenditure? No. No, you good? All right, February meeting dates.
I'm good with every day except for the 14th.
shoot.
Deliberative is the 7th.
Deliberative is the 7th, right? And today's the 24th. Can you guys do a meeting like the 8th or 9th? I mean, I don't want to go too far.
February?
Of February, right? I mean, because we're talking about,
I can't do either.
oh, you can't do either of those. 6th, no?
I mean, I could do the 6th, but if we're.
I don't expect it to be a long meeting. I think it would just cover any kind of, regular business. Avoid planning anything right before the deliberative session. But if there are things that we need to address, I don't want to go 4 weeks before we do it. That's the only reason. I would expect the meeting on the 6th to be brief. And I'll keep anything, controversial or anything off the agenda so that, because we're going to have enough to deal with respect to deliberative the next day. If that works for you, the 6th?
Yep.
Okay, great. So the 6th at 7 o'clock, and then our dates in the, oh, sorry, I'm looking. So deliberative is the 7th. Can we go the 21st for regular meeting?
Yep.
Okay, great. So let's do the 6th and the 21st. Great. Perfect. Thank you. All right. Any other business? Yes.
This ought to be easy.
I like these. Good.
I just want to ask permission for the 3rd annual Newfields Cleanup Day. Dates Saturday, April 23rd, after the first one, I know I always need a rain and snow date for Sunday, April 24th. It's in honor of Earth Day. I'll coordinate again with Chief
Saturday's
Young.
the 22nd.
Huh?
Saturday's the 22nd.
The 23rd, Saturday the 23rd?
Saturday, the 23rd?
22nd.
Is it
Saturday,
22nd?
22nd.
Okay.
Is it
Oh, wait a minute, I grabbed the one from 2022. Oh, wait, yeah. 22nd and 23rd.
Great.
Sorry, just testing everybody. Yeah, the 22nd and 23rd, and I will coordinate with Chief Young and my buddies at the shed.
Easiest thing that we do every year. I appreciate your work in doing it every year. Thank you. I mean, I don't think we need a formal motion. Have at it, and you
Okay.
do what you need to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bobby.
I wasn't at the January 4th meeting, I was reading minutes. I know the deliberative is coming up, but is there any way to see what the warrant articles were or are before that?
They're coming. I can hand you a copy right here. You want it?
Sure. Is that
I think they were just like last minute edits.
Yeah, there were just some last minute edits, but for the most part, the posted warrants are, no change in content.
Okay.
Any change in content, it doesn't occur at the budget hearing. Any change in content only occurs at the deliberative if there is any change at all.
So I guess where did we visit live anywhere right now?
They're gonna be on the website. But
Yeah, I mean-
I think Sue was updating it today, so I didn't get it out there.
Normally, that's why I was just.
So there were drafts that were posted as part of, I think, the agenda for the 4th, I believe so. The language has to get approved by DRA,
Yeah, okay.
which is why we made the changes that we did. We had to move one of them up, require 3/5 vote. There were some other, minor changes that Sue made based upon DRA's input. But you can have that, Bobby. That's all yours. So. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I had a question. I noticed, I didn't really connect the dots until tonight's discussion, but additional police traffic during the Vermon's events. And I was just wondering if that was something that the select board had requested or suggested or applied, or if that was just done.
I can speak on that.
Chief?
I've been out of the loop of all this, so trying to make a long story, trying to make it short. I went to the planning board meeting originally to catch up and for the birthday that I found back in December. There was some conditionals made. Apparently, the police department was going to be involved with being notified on events, and then there's some police details. I received an email from Stephanie Vernon back on January 9th, pertaining to some events on Friday and Saturday nights throughout January all the way to May. I went to the planning board meeting on that Thursday, the 12th and 13th. It was obviously they knew what was being advertised because it's on social media. I wasn't on the assumption that events were happening that quick, but I needed to make a determination on when I was going to require a police officer on the property. So I directed my officers to drive by once an hour during the planned events. We knew what the planned events were because the emails specifically had times in it from Stephanie Vernon. So my officers were told to drive by once an hour, see what you see for vehicle traffic, pedestrians, whatever, because I need to come up with a concept on when I'm going to require them to have a police officer in a detail. So that was strictly on me, and the planning board was, I told them that's what I was going to do. Nobody told me to do it. It was strictly on me because I need to make a determination when a police officer is out there. Because right now there's no formula for that. And I'm not going to make them have a police officer out there when there's 3 or 4 cars.
Yeah.
However, when the email says no less than 100, difference between 4 and 5 and 100 is pretty big. And a detail rate with the cruiser administration fees is $90 an hour. I'm not going to charge somebody $90 an hour if they don't need it. So my officers were told to keep an eye, not to sit in their property, not to drive on their property, to drive by. Did some of them sit and run radar? We have other issues up there with speeding. There's an area where people pass. They speed up there. We have parking issues and complaints that are well documented on Cooper Road and the rail trail. That, now with snow on the ground and snowshoeing, we keep an eye on that too. So we get complaints. So it's in close proximity to the Vernons, but my officers are told to drive by once an hour, document what they see at my request.
Thank you. Anything else? No? I'll make a motion to adjourn at 8:12 p.m. Second by Hobie, all in favor?
Good. I recognize you first. I've only known you in the mass world.
And also with long hair, and this is what's been hiding me 30 years.
I'm I didn't screw anybody over anybody. No, I did complying with the application.